The Bills rarely lose at home, and they rarely lose division games. But when you turn over the ball 3 times, that's what you get. Locked On Bills starts now.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda, Move, and Be Moved. Well, folks, welcome in. The Buffalo Bills fell to the New England Patriots 23-20 and dropped to 4-1 on the season. And welcome into this post-game reaction. My initial thoughts on this football game are coming your way today. We'll talk about the things I liked, talk about the things I didn't like, but first of all, give credit to the New England Patriots. They came in as heavy underdogs in a primetime game on the road, big stage for their young quarterback, and they deserve all the credit. They got a big win. They outplayed the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football, and that's a big win for them. They now sit at 3-2. The Bills are at 4-1, and they should get a lot of momentum from this win. It's a good win for the New England Patriots. All the credit to them. Obviously, an uncharacteristic night for the Buffalo Bills. Just made tons of mistakes. Couldn't find any offensive rhythm. Couldn't get big stops late in the game and took a loss. Just could never take control of the game script. The Bills didn't have a lead until the third quarter, and that lead lasted less than 3 minutes of game clock. The Patriots made all the plays. They made the plays they needed to do to get a big win. So we'll do things I like, things I didn't like, and we'll start with things I didn't like. And I think you got to get into these 5 monumental mistakes. Lots of mistakes, but 5 that I think were just crushing. And it starts with the Bills' first offensive possession. They win the toss, they defer, they get the Patriots to punt, and they get the ball, and they're moving it. 1st and 10 on the plus 48. Josh Allen hands the ball to Dawson Knox, who's obviously not expecting the ball, and they turn it over on your first offensive possession after forcing them to punt. It's hard to really understand what happened on that play. Didn't really feel like Dawson Knox was expecting the football. If you look at the blocking on the play, it certainly looked like he was going to get the ball, but didn't seem like he knew that. It's a big mistake. Ball on the ground. Patriots get a takeaway. Now, here's the cool part. The Patriots fumbled on the next play. They gave it right back to you. And you get a 20-yard play, then a 5-yard run to James Cook. The next thing you know, it's 2nd and 5 at the plus 37. You get an 8-yard run. It's going to be 1st and 10. But Josh Palmer lines up wrong. He needed to be on the line of scrimmage. The end man on the line of scrimmage wasn't an eligible receiver. That's an illegal formation. So instead of it being 1st and 10 from the New England 29, it's 2nd and 10. You get 2 incomplete passes, and now you're punting. You go from 1st and 10 at the New England 29 to a punt. That Josh Palmer penalty on the illegal formation was a killer. That's the second crippling mistake. The third crippling mistake comes on your next offensive possession. And Keon Coleman fumbles the football and gives the Patriots the ball at their 12-yard line. 2 fumbles in the first quarter. The next drive, it's 3rd and 3 from the Buffalo 10. Or excuse me, the Patriots 10. You're threatening to score. And the Bills run a zone read with Ty Johnson, and Josh Allen keeps the ball instead of giving it to Ty Johnson, and Ty Johnson probably walks in for a touchdown. Josh keeps it. He's getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage. He flicks it to Khalil Shakir, and they take a 3-yard loss and settle for a field goal. Just made the wrong decision. Critical mistake. And then late in the third quarter, 2nd and 3 at the New England 9. 2nd and 3 at the New England 9. Khalil Shakir gets called for offensive pass interference. It would have been 3rd and 1. Instead, it's 2nd and 13 from the Patriots 19. Josh Allen throws the ball into double coverage, and it's picked off. Crippling mistakes. And that's not all the mistakes, but those were the crippling mistakes that ended drives or put it on a platter for New England or cost the Bills points in a game that they lost by 3. Yeah, the Bills can overcome mistakes a lot of times, but not in this game. Too many crippling mistakes, mostly by the offense. Penalties, giveaways. You take an L. You take a bad loss at your home stadium against a divisional opponent. You got the rivalry uniforms on. It's the whiteout. You got the hype that you're looking for. And you came out and just made crippling mistakes and took an L. That's not all that I didn't like, but I thought we had to start with those critical mistakes. Those 5 are the ones that really stand out to me. Again, not all the mistakes, but those were the ones that felt very correlative to points not being scored and points being scored for New England. Can't do it. Can't do it and expect to win football games. All right, we'll get more into things I didn't like here on the other side of it and a few things that I like. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. Certain businesses truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving the community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. So spending your money there doesn't just support the business, it supports the people behind it and the community around it. Those local spots are what make the neighborhood feel like home, and so many of them run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square will see you in the neighborhood. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Shaq Thompson's forced fumble. One play after the Bills cough up the football, Shaq Thompson forces a fumble. Terrell Bernard recovers it, and it quickly gets the Bills out of a bad situation. And look, the Patriots, they had a short field, and Shaq Thompson's play didn't allow the Patriots to take advantage of that. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Welcome back, folks. Recapping this Bills 23-20 loss to the New England Patriots. And we started by talking about the 5 crippling mistakes that the offense made. But like I said, that wasn't all of it. And what really hurts the overall performance in this game is not just the mistakes, but the penalties, which I guess are also mistakes. The Bills take 11 penalties for 90 yards, and it just killed the flow of the game. The offense really struggled to find any sort of rhythm. And it was tough. I mean, Patriots made their share of penalties in the second half, but just almost 200 yards of penalties in the game. That's tough to watch. I'm sure it's tough to play in. It's tough to find rhythm. And, the Bills made a lot of mistakes when it comes to penalties. And I think you can debate some penalties or not. I think that's always going to be the case, but just too many, ultimately too many. And obviously Sean Hochuli is highly annoying. You could tell that he wanted to insert himself into this game. And, I just don't care for referees like that, but the Bills hurt themselves with a lot of costly penalties. Now, I will say with how tightly officiated the game was, kind of crazy to me that the third down throw to Shakir before the Bills kicked the field goal to tie it at 20. I mean, that defender was there very early, and they called everything all night, but not there. That was when they chose to swallow the whistle. Okay. All right. Not cool, but definitely something I didn't like. But the overall 11 penalties for 90 yards just really took away from the team's ability to find rhythm. The Bills' traditional run game wasn't there. You had good rushing output overall. That's heavily influenced by some really nice Josh Allen scrambles. But we know that the offense is definitely interested in running the football, and it's a big part of the recipe. And the Bills ran the ball 19 times for 60 yards, which is barely over 3 yards per carry when it comes to their running backs running the football. And I thought that contributed to the inability to find consistent rhythm. And sometimes I think the Bills were kind of backed up and it took some penalties and they're behind the sticks. And that probably makes it a little bit difficult to have the commitment and consistency in your run game. But this has been something the Bills were able to lean on, and they really couldn't in this football game. And kind of felt like they got away from some of the elements that really mattered. Obviously, we'll watch the tape and really figure it out, but didn't feel like we saw the same amount of under center runs in this game. And, I think the Patriots got their linebacker back, Jelani Tavai, and that was a big boost for their ability to play downhill and fit the run. And the Bills weren't able to lean on their rushing offense like they usually can. Defensively, there's some frustrating elements to this performance, in particular, just not having any answer for Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, 10 catches for 146 yards on 12 targets, and the Bills couldn't stop him, right? Tre'Davious White was overmatched. Christian Benford gave up some production to him. Taron Johnson did. There was a play where Cole Bishop is playing with 10 yards of cushion and having to deal with Diggs one-on-one. That didn't work out. Another play where Shaq Thompson's one-on-one with him. That didn't work out. Bills couldn't figure it out. Couldn't stop Diggs, and obviously that's a big deal, right? It's his return to Buffalo after he, whatever, wants out of town and gets out of town and making it like it's real personal when he gets exactly what he wanted and goes out there and produces and really sticks it to the Bills. There's no other way to say it. The Bills couldn't stop Diggs. Made big plays. And obviously, you should have concerns about the corner situation because the defense just doesn't play super connected, and that exposes a player like Trey White. If they're getting good backer play with consistency, if they're getting good safety play with consistency, if they're getting good rush with consistency, yeah, maybe you can get by with Trey White as one of your corners, but you're not getting those things. And that's obviously leading to some challenges for Benford as well, who's not played his best football or anywhere near to the level that he's played the previous 2 seasons. I think your overall defense just isn't connected. And Dorian Strong's on injured reserve with a neck injury. And Maxwell Hairston still on injured reserve. So you got to figure it out. But it's hard for him to hold up in coverage. It just is, right? It's unfortunate. You couldn't handle Diggs. And boy, you couldn't handle Drake May in particular in the second half. I thought the Bills did a decent job in the first half, but in the second half, Drake May took over and he was rolling to his right and just made play after play after play. In the second half, Drake May was 13 of 14 for 184 yards. In the fourth quarter, he was 6 of 6 for 90 yards. Couldn't stop him. And there just weren't many contested throws. Like, he's throwing to open dudes. The only pass breakup the Bills had in this game was a tip ball by A.J. Epinesa at the line of scrimmage. These coverage players they're just not contesting throws. And whatever, like, you can live with production, but you're not contesting throws. You're not connected. It's a problem. It's a problem. Let's get into some things that I liked. How about Dalton Kincaid? 6 catches for 108 yards on 6 targets. The Bills worked the middle of the field. We talked about that throughout the course of the week. That was where the opportunities were going to be, and they found them to Kincaid. A lot of production there. It feels empty, right? It's the dude's first 100-yard game. He's been phenomenal this season. We can't even really celebrate it because it comes in a loss. But the overall 5-game sampling of Dalton Kincaid in the year 2025 looks freaking good. It's unfortunate that effort couldn't have been rewarded with a win. Obviously, I have some great exception with Keon Coleman's game with the fumble, and then I thought he had 2 really soft contested catch opportunities in the first half that he couldn't come down with. But to his credit, he makes a huge 3rd down catch that extends a drive that the Bills needed late in the game, and he scores a touchdown late in the game on a pretty nice play. I thought Curtis Samuel made positive contributions to this team, had a 20-yard catch, had a touchdown, had a 7-yard run that was called back. I thought the run defense was really good. You held New England to 22 rushes for 71 yards. If I would have told you that's what New England had running the game, if I told you that before the game, that the Patriots had 22 rushes for 71 yards, 100% of people would have said, yeah, we'll take that. Especially you're going in there with no Ed Oliver, no TJ Sanders. Matt Milano plays a half. Drake May has 3 runs for 12 yards. Like, that was the big concern, is scrambles. And, the Bills had been like the worst team defending scrambles all year. And Drake May is a good scrambling quarterback. You hold him to 3 for 12. That's all part of a losing effort. But I thought the run defense was pretty sound. I thought the 3rd down defense was good enough as well. The Patriots go 3-9 on 3rd downs, 33%. You can live with that. I don't think the defense was perfect by any means, but it felt like they were good enough, and the offense didn't do their part. And I don't think that's normally going to be the case, but it was on Sunday night. Thought Greg Rousseau certainly flashed, had 2 tackles for loss and a sack. I like that the Bills got 2 forced fumbles. Shaq Thompson with the big forced fumble with a Terrell Bernard recovery. Cam Lewis on the kick return with a nice strip. Unfortunately, the Bills couldn't fall on that one. Matt Prater's perfect on the night, 2 for 2 on field goals, 2 for 2 on extra points. Obviously, a big kick from 45 to tie it late. I thought both Mitch Wishnowsky punts were really, really solid, especially considering that Marcus Jones is the all-world punt returner, and you didn't give him any chances to return the ball. I thought that was a good job. I think overall the Bills special teams did a nice job with their coverage units. The Patriots have some dangerous return guys, and the Bills contained them very, very well. Reggie Gilliam with 2 really nice special teams tackles. Sam Franklin with 2 really nice special teams tackles. So, some good things, but overall, I'm just left thinking about mistakes, inability to find offensive rhythm, giving away the ball 3 times, 11 penalties for 90 yards. Your traditional run game's not there. Defense couldn't stop Diggs. Defense couldn't stop Drake May from rolling to his right and killing you. Man, it's a frustrating night. Credit to the Patriots. They made the plays, came in there, and got a big-time win for them. All right, coming up next, I want to comment on the inactive players. We'll recap my predictions, and we'll talk about what's next for the Bills and this podcast. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put $5 down, and if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during the games. It makes football watching even more exciting when you have a little more something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. I had a really fun Sunday on FanDuel. I did quite well. And in the Bills game, I had Josh Allen for over 200 passing yards. I had Kincaid for the over on his receiving yards. That hit. I had Kayshon Boutte on the over for his receiving yards. So, obviously the Bills took a loss, but we had some good wins on FanDuel. And check it out, folks. They got this great deal for you, $5 down. And if it wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets on your first $5 bet. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the app today and get started. All right, welcome back, folks. I want to comment here on the inactive players. The Bills are in, kind of a challenging situation with both Ed Oliver and TJ Sanders. They were both questionable for the game. They didn't go. And so you get Fadarian Mathis and Zion Logue elevated from the practice squad for this game. And I think that's pretty impressive what the Bills are able to do with their run defense, down, two of your top three defensive tackles and having to lean on a guy that's been on the team for like a month and Phi Mathis, maybe less. And, another practice squad elevation from Zion Logue. So it's like, it's Deion Walker to go with Daquan Jones and then a couple of practice squad players. It's tough. Chase Lunt was inactive for this game. Spencer Brown returned. Elijah Moore was inactive, which is, it's interesting that the Bills feel like they're at the point now with Curtis Samuel where they're comfortable with him back in his role. And I think it comes down to special teams. That Tyrell Shavers is playing multiple phases of special teams. And I think the Bills are comfortable dressing 5 receivers. And Elijah Moore, I'm sure the team kind of thinks he's redundant with Curtis Samuel and he doesn't play special teams like Tyrell Shavers. And so he's inactive. Dorian Williams, we knew would be inactive with a knee injury. Jordan Hancock was inactive. And then Brandon Codrington for a consecutive game is a healthy scratch. And so you kind of wonder, I think the Bills will kind of get through this upcoming game. Then it's the bye week, and I think they'll use that as an opportunity to make some of those big roster decisions. But back-to-back healthy scratches for Brandon Codrington as Curtis Samuel handles the kick return duties and Khalil Shakir handles the punt return duties. Like I mentioned, Spencer Brown returned. Matt Milano returned, but then he injured his pec again. So I'm guessing he'll miss some time, and that's just how it goes with that dude, right? The Bills are very used to not having it, but I think what the frustrating part of that is just trying to find your stride as a defense, and that guy's been in and out, right? It's hard to do that. And right now, Dorian Williams is, he didn't practice all week with a knee injury, and so you're looking at your linebacker core being Terrell Bernard, Shaq Thompson, and Joe Andreessen, and Jimmy Charlo at the practice squad. And so we'll see the severity on Milano. We'll see the severity on Dorian Williams, but you kind of been an inconsistent situation at linebacker this year. Let's recap my predictions. Didn't do so hot here. My first prediction was that the Patriots would have a season high in rushing yards. They did not. They had 71 rushing yards. Their season high was 122 in week 2 against Miami. And obviously the Bills' run defense played good enough for sure. I got this one right. I said 3 sacks for the Bills' defense. They got 4, which was good to see. Obviously, you kind of needed one more, right, late in the game, and I couldn't get it, but you get 4, and I predicted they would get 3. I predicted that the Bills' running backs would come away with 4 or more catches in this game. They didn't have any. I think that was kind of a missed opportunity in this contest. I figured it would be a challenging game for the Bills' outside receivers with the really good corner tandem that New England had and Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. So I was thinking there'd be a lot of tight end and running back production in the passing game. And I was right about the tight end piece. I was wrong about the running back piece. And, maybe in hindsight, that was something the Bills could have tried to work a little bit more in this one. I predicted that the Bills' tight ends would score a touchdown. That didn't happen. And I think I probably just took the wrong angle on that. I think I had a good read on the Bills' tight end production being really good in this game. Obviously, it was. But it wasn't manifested in the form of a touchdown, which is what I predicted. And I thought the Bills would win, and that didn't happen. So not a banner day for my predictions. What's next for this podcast is the All-22 review. I'll spend all day Monday in the film breaking this thing down, and I'm excited to kind of get a feel for, what happened with the run game. Were there more opportunities throwing the ball for Josh? It felt like he definitely worked the ball down the field a little bit. Some of those high leverage moments, though, you kind of got in the red zone, end of game type stuff. I'm curious to see what was and was not there defensively, what worked with the run game, and, what was the plan for covering Diggs and why did it fail, right? I want to get an idea for that as well. And of course, I'll report back to you later in the day on Monday with my podcast. And of course, for our Discord and subtext and Substack community, you'll get the All-22 film clips. If you want to learn more about that, go to thejoemarino.com. What's next for the Bills is Monday Night Football in Atlanta. And Atlanta's coming off the bye. And the Bills, obviously, you don't want to go into the bye losing 2 in a row, right? So you got to regroup here and, hopefully play some good football, get a win, and go into this bye with the opportunity to be 5-1 and to, you'll get Hoyt and Ogunjobi back. You'll start to maybe get some other guys back. I'm not sure, but you come out of that bye and play Carolina and you feel like you got a chance here to kind of stack some wins. But obviously right now, it's not where this team's at. They lose to the New England Patriots. And it's a disappointing loss. Again, like I said at the beginning, credit to the Patriots. No doubt about it. It's a big win for them. They deserved it. And I think ultimately this Bills team just has to play more connected, right? Complementary football. It just really hasn't been there with any level of consistency this year. You saw it late against the Ravens. Maybe against the Jets, you got a good feel for the complementary football, but not consistent enough, right? And so they went on their 4-game win streak, and they beat up on 3 pretty bad teams in the middle there. But you take an L to New England, and you realize that you got to find some urgency here to find your stride and start to play connected football, play complementary football. And, it felt like the Patriots were the team that played the game that the Bills are supposed to play. They looked like the Bills. And, again, credit to them. Good win for New England, bad loss for the Bills. It's time to get ready to play the Falcons and get to 5-1, right? That's got to be the focus at this point. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here today on the podcast. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. Look forward to catching up with you again real soon.